So you just bought a new video recorder. Well, congratulations. Did you know that Hitachi is among the top 10 of the world's leading manufacturers? And that VCR you just bought, that's the result of years of research, development, and quality assurance. Hitachi products, from bullet trains to chemical, from magnetics to auto parts, from earth movers to consumer products like your VCR, are known worldwide for their quality. Before you start operating and enjoying your new VCR, be sure to read the important safety information located on pages 3, 4, and 5 of your manual. This videotape is meant to assist you in understanding the features and functions of your new VCR. With this tape and the written manual, you should be able to easily understand the operation of your VCR. This tape is laid out to take advantage of this VCR's go-to search feature, which will allow it to find any point on the tape. Since this is the first time you've seen this tape, you'll probably want to watch it all the way through in order to learn how to operate all your VCR's features. Later, when you are more comfortable with the VCR's operation, you may want to view a specific piece of information about a certain feature. That's where this VCR's go-to and the menu that follows this section can be used. After you initially watch this tape, use the go-to function and the following menu to find information about various features when you need help with the operation of those features. Be prepared to pause the tape if necessary to make note of the go-to time reference. If you're watching this videotape, chances are you have your VCR hooked up properly. But let's go over the basic hookup just to make sure. Place your new VCR on a flat, stable surface near your TV. Plug in the VCR to an unswitched wall outlet. Now make sure it's an unswitched outlet, otherwise you will have to reset the clock every time you turn the switch on. Before you can use your VCR, you must hook up your antenna or incoming cable so that the VCR receives all the programs available to you. Then the new antenna cable that was included in the box with your VCR must be added to get the signal from your VCR to your TV. Plug one end of the cable to the VCR connector marked Out to TV. Plug the other end into the connection on the TV marked UHF, VHF antenna input. If your antenna cable is flat and there are screw connections on the back of your TV, you may need one or both of these adapters, which are available from your local electronics or hardware store. Now, one is for the back of the VCR, and the other is for the back of the TV. If you're on a cable system that requires a cable box, you may need to use an alternative hookup. Because there are so many different cable companies with cable box requirements, you may need to consult your local cable company to meet their requirements. If your cable company provides direct access type cable, you may only need a box to decode premium channels, in which case, this is how you hook up your VCR. Your incoming cable should be connected to the input of the cable box and out to the antenna input of the VCR, then from the VCR out to the TV. If all your channels are scrambled, it'll be necessary for you to set your VCR to channel 3. All channel changes should be made at the cable box. The hookup is the same as the basic cable, which was explained before. Next, let's take a look at the controls on the VCR. First is the power button, which you obviously have already found. This button is used to turn the VCR off and on. The stop eject button is used to stop the tape and eject the cassette after the tape is stopped. You can eject the tape even if the VCR is turned off. The shuttle wheel is the key to the rest of your VCR controls. Turning the shuttle control to the left rewinds the tape when the VCR is in the stop mode. Simply turn it full left and release. If you're in the play mode, when you turn the shuttle wheel to the left, you can visually scan the picture in reverse. Turning the shuttle wheel to the right does exactly the same thing in the forward direction. Remember, right for forward, left for reverse. When the VCR is in the play mode and you decide to visually scan through the tape, you'll notice that the more you turn the shuttle control, the faster the tape moves. The shuttle wheel acts as a variable speed control for the scan, from very slow to fast scan. The play still button located in the center of the shuttle wheel is used to play the tape. While in the play mode, the same button is used to still or pause the tape. Behind the front panel, you'll find a series of buttons beginning with the pause control, which serves the same function as the one on the shuttle. Moving to the left, you'll find the record button. Pressing this button will cause the VCR to immediately go into the record mode. It'll record the channels shown in the display. Next are the channel select buttons. These allow you to change the channels on your VCR up or down. Plus, you can select the line position for line input selection. This is located between channel 2 and your highest programmed channel. This will be discussed in detail later in the video. Next are the audio and video dubbing controls, which are used in editing a videotape. Video dubbing replaces the video information or picture without disturbing the audio. Audio dubbing replaces just the audio information or soundtrack without disturbing the video. This area contains the LEDs that indicate which function is in use. It also contains the clock display and the tape counter display. The counter only appears when this display button on the remote is pressed. Since this function only works from the remote, we'll discuss it in depth when we talk about the remote control hand unit. Hi-Fi indicates the type of audio being played. For the best sound, this is the mode your VCR should be in. The VCR mode indicator displays things like record, fast forward, rewind, pause, and playback. The timer indicator tells you your VCR has been programmed for time shift recording and only illuminates when the VCR is off. On stereo models, this display will light up, indicating a stereo broadcast is being received or a stereo tape is being played. The VCR light is on when using the VCR's tuner or when playing a tape. SAP, or Second Audio Program, is used by many television stations to broadcast a second language. This indicator will light automatically whenever the SAP is present. Next are the tape speed indicators. These tell you whether you're in SP, the 2-hour mode, or EP, the 6-hour mode. The line indicator lights up when you have selected a line input by pressing the channel buttons or the AVX button on the remote control. The line position is used to record or watch a program through the AV inputs on the front of the VCR, L1, or the back of the VCR, L2. Also, behind the front panel, you will find a Synchro Edit in-out jack that is used in conjunction with another compatible VCR so that you're able to start and stop the recording process on both VCRs simultaneously. Next to the rear antenna input-output jacks, you will notice the Channel 3, Channel 4 selector switch that chooses which channel your television must be tuned to for viewing a picture from your VCR. Now, most people set this switch to Channel 3. However, there are some circumstances that may require an alternative, so Channel 4 is provided. Okay, now that you are familiar with the location of the controls on the VCR, let's go on and quickly identify which features you can operate from the remote control. Now, many of these controls are going to be obvious and relate directly to the controls on the VCR. First things first, let's install the batteries in the remote. Turn the remote over and slide the battery access door off. Insert 2 AA batteries that were provided, making sure that you get plus to plus and minus to minus as shown. Your VCR's remote control will virtually operate all the features and functions of the VCR. It will also operate most TV and cable box functions regardless of brand, as well as a second Hitachi VCR. Looking at the remote, The top two buttons are power on and off and tape eject. The next row include buttons for operating your VCR, TV, cable box, and a second Hitachi VCR. Now let's take a look at how to program your remote to control the functions of other pieces of your video system. To program your remote to operate your TV, first turn on your TV, then point the remote control toward the television. Hold the TV button and press the numbers 0 through 9, channel up, channel down, the 100 ENT button, and the last channel button, one at a time. Be sure to hold each button down for approximately 3 seconds. When the remote finds the proper code, the TV will change channel. When that happens, release both buttons. The remote will now control your TV. Follow this same procedure to program your remote to operate cable boxes if you happen to need one in your system. For cable boxes, you'll be using the numbers 1 through 8. Although this remote's brain cannot operate all TVs and cable boxes, chances are that it'll operate most recent name brand products. Since this is a multifunction remote, there are some common problems that occur that you should be aware of. If you find that your remote suddenly will not work, someone may have changed the command setting. Remember that you must always address the piece of equipment that you are trying to control by pressing the appropriate button, such as TV, VCR, cable box, or VCR2. Now once this is done, there's no need to address that component again unless someone else has changed the command setting. Also remember that these buttons must be pressed and held for approximately 3 seconds to give the brain a chance to recognize and learn what you are trying to teach it. Now the same is true for teaching the remote's brain which codes will operate your TV and cable box. Now remember, you've got to press and hold these buttons. Don't be a button puncher where the remote won't react the way that you want it to. This center section contains the VCR and TV controls, which are clearly marked and relate directly to the controls on your VCR and TV. Here you will find the tape speed button. Here, the display button, which is multifunctional. Press the button once, and the display is called up on the screen of the TV. 2 quick presses, and the linear time counter will remain on the screen. This also changes the VCR front panel display from clock to counter. The 3rd press of this button activates the memory function, and the letter M will appear on the TV screen. The 4th press clears the display on the TV and changes the VCR display back to clock. The frame advance button is used in conjunction with the pause control and allows you to move the tape ahead 1 frame at a time. The slow speed button is used with slow motion to either increase or decrease the speed of the slow motion. The tracking button manually overrides the digital auto tracking control built into your VCR. The button is also used to control the jitter, or shaking, on a still picture. You will be using this section to directly access the channels. If you wish to dial in a single-digit channel, it is necessary for you to use the 0 button with that channel number. This section is also used to program your VCR Plus program guide numbers. Here you'll find a button marked AVX. You will use this button to activate the auxiliary or line inputs, which are the AV jacks that we discussed earlier. Below that is the Go To Index button, which, as you remember, we discussed earlier in the tape. The Edit button assists you in the editing process, which we'll discuss in detail later in this tape. TV and VCR buttons allow you to switch from the VCR's tuner to the television's tuner. The most important button on this remote control is the Guide button. This button accesses your entire on-screen owner's manual and programming system. For your convenience, this remote has the main function buttons illuminated so that they're easier to see in a dark room. To activate this feature, simply press the Light button. Please note that the Mode button will light to indicate which component of your video system is ready to be addressed. Now that you're familiar with the location of the controls on both the VCR and the remote, we'll show you how to use these buttons to get the most from your VCR. Now let's take a tour of your new VCR. Your VCR is equipped with a complete on-screen menu system, which, if you'll take the time to familiarize yourself with it, will guide you quickly and easily through all its operations. The Easy Guide menu system is accessed through the guide button on the remote control. The first thing you should do is set your VCR's clock. All programming works off the clock, so it must be properly set. That's why earlier we suggested that you make sure that the VCR is always plugged into a live or non-switched wall outlet. Otherwise, you will be continually setting the clock. First, turn on the VCR and your TV. Now be sure that your TV is tuned to the proper channel, 3 or 4. Press the guide button on the remote. The first menu that you will see will ask you to choose a language by pressing the corresponding number on the remote. Press the guide button again to get the main menu. You will see that number 5 on the menu is Clock Set. When you press number 5, this screen will appear, instructing you to fill in the blinking space. Enter the time by pressing the appropriate numbers on the remote control's numerical pad. Now, please note that you must always enter 2 digits for the hour. If, for example, it is 1:15 p.m., you must enter 0115. Next, the menu will ask you to press number 1 or 2 to determine if the time is AM or PM. Your time is now set. Next, you must set the date by using the same procedure that you used for time. Remember, you must enter 6 digits, just as you did when you set the time, which means you must enter 0 before a single-digit month or day. Now, if you make a mistake when you're entering the time, pressing the guide button will bring you back out to the main menu. Then press the number 5 again and re-enter the proper information. After all the correct information has been entered, press the guide button to start the clock. The VCR will automatically display the correct time. Press the guide button again to return to the TV screen. Since all of your VCR's programming is based on time and date, it is important that you set the clock correctly. Once this is done, you should not have to reset the clock unless the time changes or the power has been off for more than 30 minutes. The next thing you should do is a complete setup of your VCR's functions. To do this, press the guide button twice to call up the main menu. Then press the number 4 on your remote to access the initial setup category. As you can see, a second menu appears on the screen. By using the number pad on your remote control, you can now make several decisions about the features of your VCR. Number 1 will ask you to choose between off-air broadcast or cable TV. Now we'll use cable TV in this example and select CATV1. CATV2 is only used in very special cases. If you find that you cannot properly switch channels, try CATV2. Number 2 is auto channel setting. This automatic programming feature makes it easy and convenient to program all your available TV channels into the VCR's tuner memory. Auto channel setting is usually a one-time procedure. To start auto programming, simply press the number 2 button, then sit back and watch while the VCR's brain does the work. It takes about 2 minutes. The numbers will stop changing when the programming is complete. You can now select the active channels by pressing the channel up or down buttons on the number pad. If you discover that auto channel setting has tuned in undesired channels or snowy fringe channels, you may want to remove them from the VCR's memory. To do this, press the number 3 on the setup menu. Your menu screen should look like this. Select the channel number you wish to erase, then follow the on-screen instructions by pressing stop to erase the channel. To add a channel back into the memory, follow the same procedure, but press play to add a channel. The next item you will notice on the menu is VCR coding. This function will allow you to operate two different Hitachi VCRs with this remote. As you can see, you can switch between VCR 1 and VCR 2. You would normally leave this function set on VCR 1. Now this can be very useful if you are using two VCRs to edit a tape and don't want both VCRs to react when you press a button. Otherwise, it would not serve any purpose to change the VCR setting. This great feature can also be the source of a minor problem. If someone is using the remote and inadvertently presses the VCR 2 button, your VCR will no longer react to your commands. If you find that your remote suddenly stops working, just press and hold the VCR 1 button to reset the brain to match the VCR. Now remember, whichever setting you use on the screen must be matched by the remote controller. Otherwise, your VCR will not respond. Now let me just give you a tip on this subject. Watch the lights on the remote. The function buttons will light and tell you what function your remote is set for. Now let's continue to look at the menu item. Number 5 is movie return. With the movie return in the on position and a tape with its record protection tab removed inserted, several automatic features are activated. First, as with all Hitachi VCRs, any tape with the tab removed will autoplay. Movie return will automatically rewind the tape when the screen looks like this for 60 to 90 seconds. It will then eject the tape and shut off the VCR. If there is a long gap between recordings, movie return will also rewind the tape. The next 3 menu items, audio playback, stereo mono, and second audio, are only found on hi-fi stereo VCRs. With audio playback, you can adjust your VCR's audio output for the proper recorded sound of the videotape you are playing. Hi-fi sound is played back from a hi-fi tape. Linear stereo sound is played back with a non-hi-fi tape. Since linear sound is present on most hi-fi tapes, it's advisable to leave this in the hi-fi setting. The stereo mono setting allows your VCR to receive and record stereo sound that is being broadcast by many TV stations and cable companies in your area. Now make sure that this menu item is set to the stereo position and the stereo indicator is lit in the VCR's display. Normally this function can be left in the stereo mode and the VCR will record either stereo or mono sound, whichever is being broadcast. You may find, however, that the stereo signal in some fringe viewing areas might not be enough for quality recording. The signal may drift and become noisy. If that situation occurs, switch the stereo mono function to the mono mode to receive a cleaner, clearer recorded sound. The last item on this menu page is second audio, which is sometimes referred to as SAP, or second audio program. Second audio is normally used for bilingual broadcast. Now, if you desire, you can record the SAP audio on the linear soundtracks by changing the SAP menu display to on. For normal recording, leave the SAP display off. Because second audio is transmitted together with the stereo signal, the play sound function must be set to stereo before your VCR will record second audio. To hear SAP played back, you must change the audio playback selection to linear. Now that you've properly set up your VCR, you're ready to do some recording. It's important to remember that in order to get the best recorded image, you need to use a quality videotape. Now, there are about as many brands of videotape on the market today as there are VCRs. So remember, you get what you pay for, and a tape brand that may look like a bargain in the store could turn out to be a disappointment in your VCR. In fact, some lower quality brands may actually cause problems with your VCR. So protect your investment by purchasing quality blank tapes. Every video cassette has a small tab located on the lower left side of the cassette spine. This is called a record protection tab. If you've recorded a program and you want to make sure that the program isn't accidentally erased, simply remove the record protection tab, like this. When the tab is not in place, the record mode on the VCR will not engage, and the tape will eject if the record button is pressed. While we're talking about tapes, let's take a moment to cover recording times. Your VCR will record tapes in the standard play mode or the extended play mode. Now, in the standard play mode, a T120 tape will give you 120 minutes or 2 hours of recording time, and a T160 tape will give you 160 minutes of recording time. In extended play, the same T120 will give you 360 minutes or 6 hours, and the T160 will give you 480 minutes of recording time. Your VCR will not record programs in the older LP mode, but it will play programs that have been recorded in the LP mode. Here's a chart to help you remember the common recording times. To record a program, simply turn on the TV and insert a tape in the VCR. Press the speed button to select the SP or EP mode. Now press the VCR TV select button to select VCR if you wish to view the program being recorded. Select the channel to be recorded and press the record button on the VCR or the record button on the remote to begin recording. Press the pause button if you want to pause during recording. Press the stop button to end recording. Now that seems easy enough, but most people buy a VCR to record programs while they're away. This is called time shift recording, and to do this, you have to program your VCR. To program your VCR, turn on the power for the VCR and the TV. Be sure the TV is set to the proper video channel, either 3 or 4. Press the guide button and select number 2, delayed recording from the program menu. The first option is one-time recording. This mode is used when you want to record a one-time program, like a movie. Option 2 is a daily program mode. This is great for taping talk shows, soap operas, and other programs that air daily. The third mode is for recording programs that air weekly. Let's use the one-time recording, number 1, for our demonstration. Press button 1 to bring up the one-time program screen. The first blank is for the channel to be recorded. Let's enter channel 10. If you want to select a channel like 124, press the 100 button and then the 2 and 4 button. Enter the start time using 2 digits for the hours and 2 digits for the minutes. Press 1 for AM or 2 for PM. Now enter 4 digits for the program end time. Enter 4 more digits for the month and day that the program will be recorded on. Now set the tape speed for standard play or extended play. Check the screen to make sure you have the information the way you want it. Then press the guide button to store it in the VCR's memory. If you want to review all the programs stored in the memory, just press the guide button on the remote and press number 3, Program Review. This brings up the first program scheduled to be recorded. By pressing the number 6, you can advance through the memory. If you want to remove a program, press the clear button to erase the information on the screen. Now, while we're talking about timer programming, I should mention program priority. If you set the VCR to record 2 programs, and one program is scheduled to start before the other program is finished, the program that was scheduled to start earliest will record completely. If you enter the same start time for 2 programs on the same day, the program you entered first will record first. Just remember it this way. When the program start time is the same among programs on the same day, they're recorded in sequential order, 1, 2, 3, and so on. And when the programs overlap, the earlier program has priority. Your VCR is equipped with an instant record timer that allows you to make simplified timer recordings without using the program timer. To engage IRT recording, press the REC button on the VCR. After recording is started, press the REC button once again to indicate the recording time on the display. The time changes in hours and minutes from 30 minutes to 1 hour, an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, and 4 hours every time the button is pressed. When the timer reaches 0, the VCR will enter the stop mode. If you want to stop recording while in the IRT mode, press the power button and then the stop button on either the VCR or the remote control. This VCR also includes the new VCR Plus system to make time shift recording even easier. Press the guide button twice to get to the main menu. Then select number 6, VCR Plus Setup. The next screen that appears will ask you if a cable box is being used. Now here's another tip. If this screen does not appear, then your VCR is set up for off-air antenna. If this is not what you want, go back and check item number 4 on the Easy Guide menu. Remember, the first item on that menu asked about antenna or CATV. Now back to the question of a cable box. If you answer yes, the VCR will ask if the cable box output is channel 3 or 4. In some cases, your cable company may use a channel other than channel 3 or 4. If so, just fill in the proper number. Fill in the information by pressing 03, 04, or whatever the case may be. That's all there is to it. If you answer no, the next screen you will see will be a channel chart that you must fill in to convert your cable channels to the VCR Plus equivalent channels. In cities where the TV guides contain the VCR Plus program numbers, there is also a conversion chart similar to this one, published in the front of the guide to help you with this process. Start with channel 1, fill in the proper channel number if there is one, then press the channel up button on the remote to advance to the next channel number. Fill in the proper channel number for VCR Plus 02. Then press channel up once again to move the cursor to the next channel number, and so on, until you have converted all your cable channels to the VCR Plus equivalent channel. Once this is done, you should never have to do it again unless the cable company reassigns channels. Using the VCR Plus system to record your favorite programs now becomes an easy process. Simply press the guide button twice to get to the main menu. Then press number 1, VCR Plus Recording. The screen will then prompt you to fill in the VCR Plus program number found in your TV guide for the program that you wish to record. When you've finished, press the guide button to enter the number into memory. To check the information, press number 3, Program Review. Now remember, you've got to turn off the VCR after programming to set the timer. If you inadvertently leave the VCR on, the timer recording function will not work. Well, now that we've explained VCR Plus, let's go on with the last item on the Easy Guide menu, the problem guide. If you find that you're having difficulty with the operation of your VCR, you might consult this on-screen guide to common problems. As you look through this series of help menus, you will find the last screen contains a help number, 1-800 Hitachi. Now, if you're watching this tape, you've probably figured out how to play back a tape on your new VCR. But let's go over a few things that you may not have discovered yet. All Hitachi VCRs have autoplay. That is, if you insert a tape with the record tab removed, it will load and begin to play. Pre-recorded movies all have the record tabs removed. Your new Hitachi VCR is equipped with a digital auto tracking feature. Tracking is the term used to describe the alignment of the video heads with the information recorded on the tape. Improper alignment or tracking will result in a poor picture or lines across the picture. Digital auto tracking operates when a tape is inserted into the VCR to optimize the picture. There are times when, as a result of scratched or damaged tape, you may have to manually adjust the tracking. To do this, press the tracking up-down controls on the remote control unit until the picture is properly adjusted. Your VCR is able to perform what we call special effects, such as visual search, forward or reverse, still, and while your VCR is in still, you can advance the tape one frame at a time. While you are playing back a tape, your VCR will also allow you to watch your video in slow motion. By pressing the slow button and then the plus or minus buttons, the speed of the slow motion playback can be adjusted between 5 and 30 times slower than the normal speed. Simply press the play button to return to normal playback. Just as a side note, you may find that when you attempt to play back your video in slow motion, you will see lines or noise bars like this in the picture. Here's where the tracking controls that we told you about before are used again. Simply watch the picture while pressing the tracking controls, and the lines can most likely be adjusted out. Likewise, when the VCR is in the still pause mode, the picture could shake or jitter. The tracking controls are also used to correct this problem. You will also be pleased to find that your new Hitachi VCR has auto rewind and shut off. When the tape you're playing reaches the end, the VCR will rewind the tape back to the beginning. If the power button is pressed during the rewinding process, the VCR will shut itself off after the tape is completely rewound. Your new Hitachi VCR is also capable of finding a particular scene in your recorded material through a variety of ways. Your VCR's display includes a time counter that displays the length of the tape in hours and minutes on the VCR as well as on the TV. You can note a particular scene by time and fast forward or rewind to that spot anytime you like. Or knowing the time of the spot or scene you like, use the Go To feature. As we talked about in the beginning, the purpose of the Go To function is to use the VCR's time counter to search for positions on a tape that are a designated number of minutes before or after the present position. Now, for an example, let's say you've recorded 6 episodes of your favorite half-hour soap onto one tape, and you've just watched episode 1. Now you want to watch episode 5. At 30 minutes each, you would have to move ahead 1 hour, 30 minutes for the start of episode 5. You could simply press fast forward, but how do you know when to stop? So you have to go through the process of fast forward, stop, until you find the proper spot. Or you tell the VCR to go to a specific time. To operate Go To, locate the Go To button on the remote control. Make sure that the VCR is in the stop mode. Press the Go To button, and this menu will appear on your TV screen. Select the required number of minutes and fill in the time blank by using the 0 through 9 buttons on the remote. In the example I gave of the soaps, press 1, 3, 0, then fast forward to search for the segment that you want. If you just watched episode 5 and wanted to go to episode 1, you would have to enter the time and press rewind. Now remember, you've got to know where you are on the tape in order to accurately tell the VCR where to find what you want. I would highly recommend that you rewind the tape to the beginning and that you set your time counter to 0 before you start. Please note that the VCR will automatically zero itself when you eject the tape. Also note that the time counter will not change when there is no video material recorded on the tape. You can also find those special scenes by using the indexing system on your VCR. The system used in your VCR is based on a VHS indexing system industry standard called VIS, VHS Index Search System. It allows you to access specific program segments. The index mark is recorded automatically every time the record button is pressed. So if you would, for an example, record two programs, one immediately following the other, you must press stop, then the record button to insert an index mark. To operate this, press the Go To index button once while the tape is stopped, and this menu will appear on the TV screen. Press the fast forward or rewind buttons. The tape will fast forward or rewind until an index signal is detected. When the VCR locates an index mark, it'll play approximately 10 seconds of the program that follows the mark. The VCR will continue to find and sample programs until you press Go To index again, or once you recognize the program that you want, press the play button. The term dubbing means that information from a tape in one VCR is being transferred to another VCR. You can also transfer information from your camcorder to a VCR. To transfer the information, you will need to purchase an audio-video cable like this one. Connect the output of VCR1 to the input of VCR2. Yellow to video, red to right channel audio, and white to left channel audio. To receive the information, VCR2 must be set to the AVX or line input position. Remember, as I mentioned earlier in the tape, the line input is before channel 2 on the VCR's tuner, or press the AVX button on your remote control. To be sure that the tape is being dubbed correctly, connect your TV monitor to VCR2 using another set of audio-video cables or the regular cable that came with the VCR connected to out to TV. Press the TV VCR selector button on the second VCR. Now this will allow you to see what's being dubbed. Now that the system is all hooked up, put the recorded tape in VCR1, the blank tape in VCR2, then simply press the record button on VCR2 and the play button on VCR1. Then sit back and watch. This VCR includes a Synchro Edit feature. Now to understand Synchro Edit, you should first understand the concept of editing. Editing will allow you to cut, rearrange, and even delete various scenes on a tape. This process is similar to that of a movie maker. Now let's suppose, for example, that you have a tape of a birthday, and there are several very cute scenes that are sandwiched between shots of your feet, the ceiling, and a little bit of mass confusion. With the editing process, you can eliminate the unwanted scenes and rearrange the good shots in the order that you want. Synchro Edit makes this process much easier by connecting two compatible VCRs with an optional Synchro Edit cable. When the two VCRs are connected with a Synchro cable, the playback VCR will automatically start and stop the recording VCR. To begin Synchro Editing, hook up the VCRs in the same way that we explained for dubbing, except for the addition of the Synchro Edit cable. Once this hookup is completed, insert the cassette that you want to copy in the playback VCR. Locate the beginning of the scene on the tape that you want to copy. At that point, put the VCR in the pause mode. Insert a blank tape in the recording VCR. Put the recording VCR in the record pause mode. Press the pause button on the playback VCR, and copying will start. Both VCRs will start together. Press the pause button again when you want to stop recording, and both VCRs will enter the pause mode. Now you can fast forward, rewind, or play until you find the next scene that you want to copy. Put the playback VCR in the pause mode, then press pause again to start copying. Repeat this process until you have a completed tape. When you're finished, press the stop button on both VCRs. Now, just a tip if you decide to edit your tape. Carefully watch the tape that you're going to copy and make a list of the start and stop times of each scene that you want to keep, using the VCR's time counter. Now, you have to give some thought to what order you would like these scenes recorded in. Then begin. A little pre-planning will speed up the process and give you much better results. Your VCR also contains an automatic synchro edit feature. On your remote, you've probably noticed the button marked Edit. Pressing this button will give you a screen that looks like this. Using the fast forward and play buttons, you can find the start time of a scene that you like. Pressing the Edit button again locks in that start time and brings up a prompt to set the end time of your scene. Once this is done, press Edit again to execute the edit. Here's where the pre-planning that I mentioned really pays off. Now, once you've chosen your good scenes, rewind your master tape and zero the counter. Press play and then the Edit button. The Edit menu is superimposed over the live action. You can then use the shuttle wheel to get to the start of the first scene, lock in the time, fast forward to the end of the scene, and lock in that time. If you've connected your two VCRs properly, as we previously discussed, pressing Edit again will execute the edit. Then fast forward or reverse your VCR until you find the next start time and repeat the process. You can continue this until all your favorite scenes have been assembled onto one tape. Now, don't get discouraged. Just proceed carefully and practice a few times on an old tape before you begin assembling your personal masterpiece. Remember, great movie makers aren't born overnight. If you do experience problems, consult the problem guide on screen and in your owner's manual. If this doesn't solve your problem, you may also call 1-800-HITACHI for help. If you use the helpline, please have your VCR model number and purchase date available. Well, that's it. Everything you ever wanted to know about hooking up and operating your Hitachi VCR, and even a toll-free number for help if you need it. Now, how much simpler could that be?
Yes, dear. Even you could do it.